So what we're going to do is start in right field, go across the outfield, and then hit third base, and then go across the infield, and then go up through the catcher and the pitcher. And we're going to do our top 5 at each position in baseball.
And Jamie and guys, at some point, we are doing our projections for the season too. So not only are we giving our rankings by position, but we're giving our predictions
to be sealed in an envelope and put away and looked at again in October.
Yeah, it's our very own time capsule, and I'm all for seeing how accurate we are.
Should we put it up on the roof with the bees? The bees can watch over.
The bees in the trap.
Yeah.
You know that song.
So first question in the projections is over under the amount of different stadiums the A's play a home game in this year.
Oh man,
3.5.
That's a mess out there.
That is, and it's a shame because things are going so well out in Vegas right now. I feel like sports wise, but not on the West Coast when it comes to the Oakland A's. But for our rubric, for our projections, we're talking projections for the 2024 season based off of where these guys are projected to be playing. Just confirming so we're all on the same page, and so you guys are on the same page because other places drop rankings without rubrics, and I'm all about clarifying. And we're talking about overall play, not just in that specific position. So they're at bats, they're fielding, everything, correct?
Yeah.
Correct, guys.
So we're going to start with right field. I guess I will lead it off, and we're counting down from 5 to 1.
And by the way, I'm gonna put myself on blast for a second here because I made a mistake.
Oh,
what?
You're gonna see some really cool. I think they're really cool.
Yeah, they look good.
Toot my own horn a little bit. But Jamie, you're gonna have we have how we have the side profile player. Yeah. You're going to have your number one's going to be on there like 3 times.
Okay.
Because I messed up and I didn't have time to fix it.
I have a feeling he's going to be all of our number ones.
Yeah,
so that's okay.
It's not a secret. It's just yours is going to get exposed a little bit earlier than Renee and I.
All right. So I will start out with my number 5. And are we doing all of our number 5s?
Yes.
Okay. So my number 5 is Adolis Garcia. He absolutely, kind of stole the baseball world this past postseason. What's not to like about him? I toyed with the idea of putting him as high as 3. I think he's one of those guys that just took his big leap. And, the hard part is repeating it, but I think he's going to repeat it. He was pretty damn exciting last offseason. So I'm starting out with Garcia.
Okay. This was tough. This was really tough. As you guys know, I don't do
right
well with these
field's a pretty
things.
good group.
It is a really good group. We started with probably one of the hardest positions to rank. I actually started off with Kyle Tucker. I know I've seen him very high on some rankings. To me, I feel like Kyle Tucker, regular season wise, 4.6 F4. I think for the Astros, he's a player that maybe doesn't get enough
he's
credit
underrated
in that sense. And
nationally,
and I think overall, though, Kyle Tucker has consistently been a top right fielder. And I have to put him in my top 5. I don't know if at the end of the season he'll stay in the top 5. I could see some other names jumping ahead of him. But I think that we've seen him progress, and even last season felt like a progression for him. That 2024, I think, could be a top right fielder.
All right, Tyler, who's number 5 for you?
All right, guys, I'm picking a player that played all over the outfield last year, but I think based on projections, he is going to be a right fielder. And if he predominantly plays his 2024 season in right field, this guy is a top right fielder in baseball. He's a top outfielder in baseball. Listen, he's only needed 1 full season to make the list. It's last year's Rookie of the Year, Corbin Carroll. I think that this kid is
I had him as a left fielder in my.
Honestly, he was almost my number 5.
I'm not sure if he's gonna. They have him listed as a right fielder. He's gonna play all across the outfield. Lourdes Gurriel is gonna play a lot of left. You're gonna see Alek Thomas and maybe Jake McCarthy play some center. And I'm gonna assume that Carroll is playing right field. This kid won Rookie of the Year last year. He was in the MVP contention. He was the spark plug for this Arizona team, and I can't see a regression in Carroll's game heading into year 2. He steals bags. He hit 20-plus home runs. He drives the ball to the gaps. He's I think that this kid can become one of the faces of baseball over the next couple of seasons. Corbin Carroll is a type of guy that you build franchises around, and I think he's only going to improve from here. He's number 5 for me.
Yeah, it's a good one. When I was looking at it, I had him as left field, and I guess that's kind of the tricky part of this is, some guys do move around a lot, especially with the Yankees now and Aaron Judge and Soto and the shifting there. So absolutely top 5 at whatever position in the outfield you put him at. Number 4, I put who Renee had number 5. I have Kyle Tucker at number 4. I just think he's kind of nationally still underrated somehow. Just a tremendous player all around. So I really like Kyle Tucker at number 4.
All right. Well, apparently, Jamie, we are on the same page because we're flipped. I've got Adolis Garcia at number 4.
Yep.
I do feel like his postseason success alone bumps him up for me. I think he's got to be building off of that. It's got to feel great. 39 homers that you hit, 107 RBIs, 245 batting average. His numbers, but even just I feel like the swag and the confidence that we've gotten from Garcia last year on the road to winning a World Series should carry over into 2024. And so I'm expecting big things from him this year as a number 4 right fielder.
All right, Tyler, who's number 4 for you?
All right, guys. This one might be a tad controversial just because I think he's a little bit lower on my list than he is on everybody else's list. And I want to say,
I know who you're going with.
you're 4 compared to 2 or compared to 3, like, this is not a disrespect thing. This becomes personal, subjective choice at this point. At number 4, I'm going with Juan Soto. The move to the Yankees, I think, is going to be – I mean, this guy might hit 45 home runs this year at Yankee Stadium. He hit 35 last year. The OBP is through the roof. He has one of the best eyes in all of baseball, and I think that he's going to be able to kind of unlock himself a little bit, not having to worry about being the guy in a lineup, because if you think about it, over the last couple of seasons, when he was in Washington and things started to kind of crumble, he was at like almost last remaining cog in Washington. And then in San Diego, between the Fernando Tatis suspension, Manny Machado had some injury, missed some time. There were times where Juan Soto like almost expected to be that dude. And when you're traded for the trade package that he was, obviously expectations are super high. You put him in right, you put him next to Aaron Judge. This Yankees team is going to slug. There's no doubt about it. I'm going to put him at 4 just because there's 3 guys ahead of him that I think may have almost better seasons. And this is not a disrespect to Juan Soto. I'm just
shaking it up,
I think that there's 3 guys that are going to have monster seasons above him.
All right. I have him on my remaining 3. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, he's on mine.
But,
Dave is saying 4 is not disrespectful.
No, it's fine.
But Hypothetical Man saying did not expect that either. I'm surprised by that. But hey, top 5 is tough.
Say it with your chest, Tyler.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing. It's not like I'm sitting here saying, well, I think he's 12. And you're like, all right, dude. Like, do you even watch the game?
4.
All right. Number 3, I have Fernando Tatis Jr. I think immaturity has been an issue for him. I think he kind of like stabilized that from some things I read about San Diego last year. Switched to right field. Became, a pretty good fielder out there. Is just one of these baseball freaks that can apparently play wherever he wants. And I got Fernando Tatis Jr. 3rd. I think everybody kind of knows him and his game and his potential. If he kind of, maybe focuses a little more and stops riding dirt bikes and injuring themselves and being a little bit of a drama queen, I think he's in for a big year ahead.
Okay, again, we're on the same page. I feel like 25 is the age where for men you mature, guys. And hopefully Fernando is doing that. He's also my number 3. That 4.7 F-WAR, as well as just his splits, the 262, 327, 465, hit 25 homers. But all stats aside, 28 stolen bases, all stats aside, with him missing 80 games and not starting his season until April 20th of last year. And as you mentioned, Jamie, moving positions. First of all, he's great wherever he plays.
Yeah,
but I think this year, if you get a full season of Fernando, if you get a full mature season of Fernando, and also have him locked in as your everyday right fielder, I think that he should be number 3 across the league, in my opinion. So I've got big expectations for him this year, and I feel like in general he can lift this team to a level that many people might be overlooking them a bit, but Fernando can be that guy.
All right, Tyler, who's number 3?
Yeah, so it's a guy that both of you have already had on your list. Here's no surprise here. It's just players moving around. It's Adolis Garcia. This was everybody's got that guy that they go, man, I was on fill in the blank before he got big. Adolis Garcia was that guy for me.
You were with him back in the Cardinals?
Not that far back, but when after his first full year in Texas, this guy looked special, and I truly believe that this guy has, even playing at Globe Life, that it's a little bit bigger of a ballpark than what Juan Soto playing, and talk about Fenway and things like that. I believe that this guy could lead the American League in home runs this season. Whether it be Soto, whether it be Judge, this guy's right in that. Luis Robert is in that that conversation as well. This guy has just grown man strength. And the one thing for me that
he's strong.
The one thing for me that Garcia has improved upon year after year after year is his strikeout rates have dropped from 31 to 29 to 27. His walk rate has gone up. His home run rate has gone up from 5 to 6. His hard hit percentages are at almost 50%. His exit velocity up at the 92 mile an hour mark. Like when this guy hits the ball, this guy hits the ball.
He's on the verge of
hard.
superstardom.
Yeah.
And I think that this guy legitimately could be amongst the league's best players. And you finally got a chance to notice it on the biggest stage when they they go to the ALCS, they win the World Series. This guy to me is a stud. Yeah. And I think he has been for a couple years now.
Has to be, in my opinion, he's top 5. Regardless of where you have him, 5, 4, 3, he's got to be top 5.
All right, number 2, I have who Tyler had number 4. I'm putting Juan Soto at number 2. This right field group, and there's Tyler's mistake that he mentioned. That is actually Ronald Acuña Jr. But yes, Juan Soto I'm putting second.
Who could be number 1?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he's going to have some burden taken off of his shoulders this year. And who is it? Chris Slemmer in the group chat says that right field porch at Yankee Stadium. He has a potential to really inflate his numbers and get a monster contract next season. So I have him 2. Great player. I mean, what else is there to say about Juan Soto?
Listen, Juan Jose
He's not number
Soto
1. He's number
Pacheco.
2.
Oh, that was a good one.
Thank you.
Is also my number 2. So it's crazy because Juan Soto has been one of the best players in baseball, what feels like for a very long time.
And he's just entering his prime.
Just turned 25 years old, and he is just entering his prime. And I do think with the Yankees specifically, and it's obvious to note that Aaron Judge is not on this list because he's expected to be playing center field. Juan Soto is expected to be the right fielder. I do think there's going to be a great opportunity for him. He's been between the Nationals and the Padres. We've seen the evolution of him as the best player in baseball. Now, what does that look like when you have someone like Aaron Judge playing alongside of you? So I feel like Juan Soto's game is going to only elevate. Greatness can really, it's like this iron sharpening iron, I should say. And I expect that Juan Soto's numbers, after having a 5.5 WAR last year, overall having just the incredible splits. I can't find it now, but we know what Juan Soto does. Being able to hit 156 hits and having out of those 109 RBIs, scoring 97 runs. His at-bats are fantastic. His all-around game is fantastic. And I think with the Yankees, even though a lot of people might be sleeping on the Yankees because we're all caught in Dodgers land, they're going to be one of the best teams to watch in baseball, and it's because of Juan Soto. Number 2, it's Mr. Juan.
All right. Who do you got, Tyler, number 2?
Again, a player you guys both have already had on your on your list, but I think that this guy, with a full season, what this guy did to move to right field and just, I don't know, win the Platinum Glove Award is unbelievable in and of itself. Fernando Tatis is my number 2. I would not be stunned in the least if Fernando Tatis is your National League MVP for 2024. I think this kid is a stud.
We'll have to do a betting show one day where we take some long shot odds.
I think that one of the things that Renee brought up that is extremely paramount is the little bit of growing up that he's done over the last couple of years. We understand that there was the PED suspension, and then there was some injuries, and you could tell that when he came back last year to start the year, it was a little bit of a slow start power-wise, and 25 home runs over 140 games played, I think is probably a little bit low for a guy like Tatis. I would expect him to creep up towards 40 this year. I think that Fernando Tatis is going to have a monster 2024. And again, I know that the odds aren't great, so I may not play it, but I wouldn't be stunned if Tatis is your 2024 National League MVP.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great player. That's a good one to bet for this season. All right, the number 1 spot. I guess we're all uniform here.
Coming for that number 1 spot.
Guy had an 8.2 WAR last year. He was your National League MVP. He had one of the best offensive seasons of all time. What, he steal 41 bases on top of 40-plus home runs and plays a spectacular defense and can hit for average. He can get on base. God damn it, I hate the Braves. But Ronald Acuña Jr. is – if you take Ohtani out of it because he's such a unicorn in his ability to pitch too, I think it's safe to say Ronald Acuña Jr. is the best player in baseball. And we're going to have to deal with him for a long, long time. But he's, to me, the best right fielder in the game.
Listen, the common theme that I got from this and what made this list a little bit more challenging and frustrating and depressing also is when you really factor in these top 5, you're talking about Corbin Carroll, who was also close to being on my top 5 list, who's the youngster, but they're all young. I mean, Ronald Acuña Jr., Fernando, Juan, these are 25, 26-year-olds in their prime, and they're hitting the numbers that they're hitting. And for Ronald Acuña Jr., to have such a historic season last year, 30-60 club, 40-40 club, all the clubs, he broke into them, shattered records, 40 and behind his 41 home runs that he hit and 106 RBIs. It's Ronald Acuña Jr. I mean, I think we're just getting to fully see Ronald Acuña Jr. I wouldn't even be surprised, for as great as last year was, if he finds a way. Now, I'm not saying the Braves will find a way to have a step-up season, but I think Ronald Acuña Jr. Is just getting started, which is scary to think about. But he's definitely my number 1. No hesitation.
Anything else you'd like to wax poetically about this freakazoid that's a right-handed division rival for the next 12 years we're going to have to deal with, Tyler?
I don't think I expect Acuña to steal 73 bags again.
It was 73 bags.
That might be
I said 41. I was way off.
Might be 41 home runs.
41 home runs. Yes, that's what I meant.
That may be the only step down that Acuña takes in
might be like
2023. I mean, the guy led the league in runs scored, in hits, in stolen bases, in OPS, OBP, OPS plus, total bags. There's no doubt in my mind it was a clear-cut number 1 to win the NL MVP last year. He's the best player in the NL East. I will say that. Jamie, the one place that I disagree with you on is I think that he is the 3rd best player in baseball, which basically we're splitting
Freddie
hairs.
Freeman and Mookie Betts?
I would take Mookie Betts over Acuña. I
would take Acuña over Mookie Betts, but I think you're splitting hairs at that point.
You're splitting hairs at that point. You're 2 and you're 3 versus your 3 and your 2.
You either want to be a Philly.
I think that this was a clear-cut number 1. It was a really difficult 5 through 2, and then 1 was just I didn't even need to look at your 2 lists before the show started. I knew who we were all.
I didn't even do any research, and I literally started with Ronald Acuña Jr.
I was going to say he was the first one. Get him off the board.
All right, let's start with number 2, and then it got interesting. But as you can see, the right field position is pretty stacked.
One other thing about Ronald before you talk about the right field.
That might be the top 5. Like that might be the best position group of these top 5s that we do.
Right. Something else about Acuña, and again, I'm not trying to make this an Acuña thing because we don't like them. We don't like the Braves. But hey, he's a fantastic superstar athlete, and you can't take anything away from him. The fact that he nearly doubled in almost every statistical category in 2023. He had 40 more games played, but nearly doubled in every area. The stolen bases going from 29 to 73. His home runs going from 15 to 41. His RBIs from 50 to 106. I mean, the upside of him having a full season, staying healthy, being able to show it that he can improve that much. Scary, scary times.
Yeah,